Good morning. Hopefully everybody's having a great day, a great week. We are going to continue on with our review, and as we're moving towards the AP test, which again is May 11th, everybody. So make sure you guys are ready for that. This week I've had you create reference sheets for powers of government. So the more complete your reference sheet is, the better off you'll be. The other one is documents. So the more concise you are with those sheets, the better off you'll be. Hopefully you set them up so that you're nice and organized and you can utilize those as such. Today I'm going to have you actually do some sample questions on the AP exam. There's 2 questions, so I'm going to have you answer 2 questions. In essence, you're going to be writing two essays or answering 2 free response questions. Okay, the very first question is an argument essay. You're going to get 25 minutes to do this on the test. Here's what you do. Here's the prompt right here. The United States Constitution establishes a federal system of government. Under federalism, policymaking is shared between the national and state governments. Over time, the power of the national government have increased relative to those of the state governments. So you have to do the following. You have to take a position about whether the expanded powers of the national government benefits policymaking. And then you have to use one of these 2 documents. They provide you with 2, Brutus number 1, the Federalist number 10. So you got to utilize one of those 2. Remember, on the actual exam, you're allowed to use that reference sheet. So again, you could quickly utilize the sheet. I have the summary in the AP review folder. You theoretically could review that. You can theoretically look it up online if you like. Be very, very, very careful about looking stuff up online. Obviously, it's going to take a ton of time. You don't have a bunch of it. The other thing is, it is very easy to to get really close to plagiarizing. So be careful if you look something up online that you are putting it in your own words, you are deciphering what it means, and you are writing it. You're not cutting and pasting, or you're not copying. So be very, very, very careful of that. So here's how you're going to score points. First things first, like I said, you are going to have to come up with a defensible claim or thesis that establishes a line of reasoning. Okay, so that's going to score you a point by coming up with a good thesis or claim. Can't just restate the prompt. You got to actually have something that you can defend and prove. Okay, so you want to prove something. The next thing you are going to do is you're going to support your claim with at least 2 pieces of specific and relevant evidence. One of those pieces, again, has to come from either Brutus number 1 or the Federalist number 10. So you got to do that. The second piece of evidence can come from any other of the foundational documents. So if you want to use both Brutus number 1 and the Federalist number 10, you can. If you want to use any of the other Federalist papers, the Constitution, the Articles of Confederation, the Declaration of Independence, letter from Birmingham jail, I have no idea how you do that, but I'm sure there's a way. If you do not want to use the foundational documents, you can use any other piece of knowledge that you get from the course. Like you can use any of the amendments, you can utilize Supreme Court cases, laws that were passed, again, parts of the Constitution like the Supremacy Clause or full faith and credit, any of the parts of the Constitution. I have reference sheets in the AP review folder for parts of the Constitution, the amendments, Supreme Court cases, the 9 documents that you have to know, laws, checks and balances. So hopefully that's going to help you out a little bit, making your arguments. Okay, so you have that second piece of evidence. That's going to be your third point. And then your last 2 points, you have to use reasoning to explain why each piece of evidence supports your claim or thesis. So you have to make that connection. It's kind of like you're a lawyer. You can't just say, like, here's the murder weapon, here's Bob, here's a dead body. Bob obviously killed somebody. Well, you got to connect the gun to Bob and the Bob to the dead body and, the gun to the dead body and all in the same time period. So you got to provide that evidence. If you don't, you are not going to score those points. Okay, that's a big deal. If you want to look for examples of what people did last year, you can go to the AP website, and underneath scoring guidelines, this is question number 4. You can kind of read some examples. This is modified slightly. So you're going to see some other things that they have done, but it's a really good example, and I'll link those scoring guidelines in the folder. Okay. The second question that you are going to do is what's called a concept application. They're going to give you a scenario, and then it's kind of like just a free response question. You are going to after read that, you're just going to respond to A, B, and C. Note, and they kind of say this down here, B is outside what you have to know for this exam. They talk about Citizens United versus the Federal Election Commission, which is part of what you need to know, because you do need to know the Supreme Court cases. That theoretically would be fair game, although they're probably going to be in a situation like this. But when they talk about things like lobbying and interest groups, that's outside of the scope. I still would like you to access B, just because you might be able to utilize it on one of the questions. So I would like you to know what that Supreme Court case means. Pretty easy to look up, and I'd like you to actually find the document that, I registered for it. So that'll absolutely help you out. Okay, so that is what you need to do. You need to go over those two questions. I'll have a spot in Schoology that you can submit that. The other thing, and again, this is not required, it's optional, but really you should be starting to review stuff, whether it's watching videos. I've made a couple videos and made a folder, AP Review videos. If you would like extras, if you other videos made, please feel free to contact me. I'll kind of knock those out as quick as I can. There's the Khan Academy videos, there's Crash Course, government videos. They're not as good as the U.S. history and world history ones, I don't think, but they're still okay. I know the Khan Academy has videos on the documents. If you didn't really read the documents, we're like, hey, I wonder if somebody will tell me about those. I think there are videos on the documents. So I would start getting into stuff like that, reviewing those kinds of things. I think that will definitely help you out as we kind of move forward. And that's really something up until Monday that I would keep doing. If I can squeeze in one of those videos and read through notes and look at my review stuff, I think that will be nothing but helpful. Okay. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to ask me. I have Zoom study hours or office hours between 12:30 and 2:30 every day but Friday. But if you need something, I'm game to set up a special session that we can Zoom. I cannot wait till I can stop saying that phrase. That sounds so horrible. I hate it so much. But feel free. We can make that happen. So just let me know. So if you need anything, let me know, and I'll be around. So good luck.